Violators, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. The black man is capable of managing his own affairs. The ground beneath the Sahel is shaking, and the old masters are in absolute panic. For decades, they told us a lie. They told us that Africa could not survive without them. They told us that without their military bases, without their experts, and without their dirty political control, our nations will fall apart in this. But today, on this 4th of July 2026, the brave soldiers of Mali have written the truth in the soil of our ancestors. The truth is simple. The African soldier is fully capable. The African nation is fully sovereign. And the imperialists who refuse to pack up and leave are running out of time. Let's look closely at what happened today. This is not just a regular news report. This is a massive victory in a much bigger war for our total liberation. The General Staff of the Malian Armed Forces came out with an emergency press release. They confirmed that a massive, well-coordinated and heavily funded wave of terror was unleashed against the people of Mali. The targets were not random. The enemies of Africa attacked the key positions of the Agolhof. They struck at Anifis. They hit the major hub of Gao. They pushed against Savary. And they even tried to strike far down south in Kinyoruba, right near the capital city of Bamako. Think about the sheer scale of this operation. To attack all these distant positions on the very same day requires serious coordination. It requires heavy funding. It requires satellite logistics. These groups operating in the desert do not make their own weapons. They do not manufacture advanced communication gear. They do not buy thousands of gallons of fuel out of nowhere. They are heavily backed by foreign forces who are desperate to prove a point. They want to show the world when Africa rejects the West, Africa falls. But today, the exact opposite happened. The imperialist plot did not just fail. It was completely smashed into pieces by the Malian military. The response from our forces was instant and brutal. In the sector of Savary, the attackers came with heavy trucks and motorcycles, hoping to catch our men off guard. They thought the holiday weekend would make our soldiers soft. They were wrong. The Malian army was waiting for them. 20 T were completely neutralized on the spot. Their weapons were seized and their vehicles were turned into burning scrap metal. In Gao, the resistance was just as fierce. 60 were taken down immediately. We lost one brave soldier in that battle. 4 of our brothers were wounded. We do not hide our losses. We honor our death. We die standing up. He died facing the enemy. He did not die in vain because his sacrifice kept the flag of Mali flying high over Gao. Right now, every single one of these sectors is under total control. The sweeps are ongoing. The airspace is locked down and the enemy is in full retreat. We have to ask the deep questions that the mainstream media, Western media will never ask. Why did this massive attack happen today? Why are these CT groups suddenly getting so aggressive and desperate? The answer is simple. The alliance of Sahel states is winning the political and economic war. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have broken the chains. For years, foreign armies lived on our soil. They built massive bases. They flew their drones and they took up all the space in our airport. And what was the result? The terror got worse every single year. The violence spread like fire, burning our villages and driving our farmers off their lands. The moment our revolutionary leaders stood up and told them to take their flags and leave, the narrative changed. The moment we looked at our brothers in Niamey and Ouagadougou and said we would defend ourselves together, the imperialists realized their game was up. You see, the Western powers do not care about democracy in Africa. They do not care about human rights. They care about what is underneath the ground. They care about the gold of Mali. They care about the uranium of Niger. They care about the lithium, the oil, and the vast resources of the Sahel. Without these raw materials, these empires in Europe and America cannot survive. They need our poverty to maintain their wealth. When a black nation decides to secure its own wealth, it becomes a target. That is why they fund these proxy forces. These TT are nothing but the hidden hands of the imperialists. They are sent to create chaos, to destroy infrastructure, and to keep our governments weak so that the corporations can keep stealing our wealth in the dark. But they underestimated the consciousness of the modern African youth. The days of deceiving our people with slick media campaigns are over. We know exactly who is pulling the strings. We know that every time a military post is hit, it is an attempt to break our will and make us beg for foreign help. But we will never beg again. Look at what is happening across the entire continent right now. A total shift in power is taking place. For 60 years, we had flag independence. We had a national anthem. We had a president. But our economy was controlled from Paris, Washington, and London. Our currencies were managed by outsiders. Our armies could not move without permission from foreign advisors. This is the structural slavery that the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, is tearing down right now. The victory today in Aguhok and in Nafi shows that when you give the African soldier the right tools, the right motivation, a clear patriotic duty, he can defeat any army on earth. The imperialists are terrified because they see the unity growing. They try to use regional blocs to sanction us, ECOWAS. They try to starve our people by closing borders and freezing bank accounts. They thought we would turn against our military leaders. But the people did not break. Instead, the people marched in the streets to support the transition. And always remember the Sierra Leone First Lady. The moment you start to do something good, your country will be turned to chaos. The moment you try to nationalize your resources, the big boss will show up. And Nkrumah said, what is the essence of having political independence without economic independence? The people donated their own money to support the war effort. Why? Because the people knows that this is not a temporal political disagreement. This is a historic war for our ultimate survival. If we lose this war, our children will become servants on their own ancestral land for the next 100 years. Our military commanders understand this perfectly. This is why the defense strategy has changed from passive waiting to total offense. We are no longer waiting in our bases for the enemy to attack. Our forces are hunting them down in the forest, in the valley, and across the borders. The coordination between Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger means there is no safe place for these mercenaries to hide. If they run from Mali, they meet the forces of Niger. If they run from Niger, they are crushed by the forces of Burkina Faso. The colonial borders that were drawn in Europe to keep us divided are now completely meaningless to our military alliance. We must tell our own story with strength. We cannot allow the news channels of the West to define this victory. They will try to minimize what happened today. They will try to say the situation is unstable. They want to create fear so that investors stay away and our people lose hope. But the facts on the ground do not lie. The Malian armed forces stood firm against a massive wave of terror today, and they came out victorious. Every targeted position remains firmly in the hands of the state. The sovereignty of Mali is not up for negotiation. To every young African watching this across the continent, from West Africa to East Africa, from the north to the south, this victory belongs to you. It proves that the system of foreign domination is fragile. It shows that when we stand up straight, the giants who look down on us are actually very small. The battle is long. The enemy has deep pockets, but they do not have the one that matters most. They do not have the spirit of the land. They do not have the backing of the ancestors. They are fighting for profit. But our soldiers are fighting for their homes, their families, and their dignity. Let this day, the 4th of July, be remembered as the day the Malian military proved that the frontline narrative is a narrative of absolute victory. We send our total solidarity to troops in Gao, in Savare, and in Aguho, and everywhere across the front lines. The people are behind you. The continent is watching you. We will continue to speak the truth. We will continue to expose the imperialist lie. And we will never back down. Africa must be free. Africa will be free. And we are the ones who will make it happen. Stand firm, stay vigilant, and let the revolution move forward. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in Mali.